Welcome to the Post-Fight Podcast. It's the first of its kind. UFC 161 just ended. It's late night, Saturday night. Let's do this shit, cocksuckers. Is the first of its kind. Welcome to the Post-Fight Podcast. UFC 161 just ended. We got a round table, motherfuckers, and you can join in too if you want to call in. The number is 213-457-3380. It is myself. It's Ramses from the Word on the Street podcast. It's Chris, the original co-host. It's Yao the Truth, Ross Finkelstein, Brooks, a.k.a. the Playground Samurai, and the MMA Mogul. We'll start off with Ramses. What the fuck is going on, man?
Look, you got to follow me on Twitter, the Jimmy Show on Twitter. You'll get laid at parties instead of getting beaten up at them. That's the word on the street.
Chris,
hey,
where can we find you on Twitter and what not?
Hey man, there's no way that you can actually think of a way to not follow this guy, Ramses, word on the street. Even if you think that maybe this guy is playing, maybe he doesn't have the word on the street. It don't matter. You got to follow him. If you don't follow him, you will fall into a madness, a psychosis. Follow at the Word on the Street podcast.
And we also got Yao the Truth on the line. Yao, you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram. Where can we find you on those two platforms, son?
Yeah, you can follow me on both platforms at Yao_the Truth. That's YAO_the Truth. I'm excited for this. I can't wait to get it started.
Yeah, we also got the best Jew in the business, Ross Finkelstein.
The best.
If he isn't defending his belt on the Word on the Street podcast, you can find him sketching up posters for the next upcoming UFC event. What's going on, man?
What's up, guys? You can catch me on Twitter at Ross Finkelstein, E before the L. I am the Jew.
The Fink.
The fucking Fink. We also got Brooks, a.k.a. the MMA Addiction. We're saying where everyone can be found on Facebook, Twitter. Where can we find the MMA Addiction? That's 1A, cocksuckers. MMADDICTION.
Yeah, that's right. You guys can find me at the MMA Addiction on Twitter. And same thing on Facebook. Give us a like, give us a follow, and we'll keep you all up to date.
For sure. And last but certainly not least, we got the Mogul, a.k.a. Wu-Tang. What's going on, man? Where can we find MMA Moguls, and where can we find you on Twitter, man?
Yeah, you can follow me at KingYing90, and you can follow my podcast at The MMA Moguls.
The MMA Moguls. And yeah, let's get into it. UFC 161 tonight, just minutes ago. The presser just wrapped up. Thank you for everybody tuning in live, listening in. The presser just ended. We'll go into the card fight by fight. But what did you think of the fight overall? A lot of people were hating on it. Even a reporter at the post-fight presser, as Dana White. So on Twitter, what are you saying to everybody saying this was a shitty card? It was a shitty card. I think it may have broken a record for decisions. They mentioned that at the presser, that the last fight broke a record for submissions, and this broke a record for decisions. What the fuck was up with this fight? If you listened to last week's the MMA podcast, The Word on the Street, you would have heard the prediction that this was going to be a boring-ass card. Ramses, what are your impressions on UFC 161?
Yeah, I didn't steer anybody wrong. This card was exactly what we thought it was, alright? It was a stinker. It stunk. I actually did fall asleep during this fucking card. I woke up sometime during the bitch fight. Who was it? I don't even fucking know their names.
Davis versus Sexton.
Yeah, which was actually pretty good. But then, that actually woke me back up, and I was like, all right, I'm back in this. I'll watch the rest of it. And then, of course, it just went back to the game plan that we all saw this shit coming. It was probably the worst card of the year so far. The worst pay-per-view, sorry. But yeah, that Brazilian one last week was a piece of shit too. Not looking good, but at least we saw this one coming. And we got a big name fight coming up. It's going to be interesting to see Chris Weidman take a dive. Word on the street. I don't know who's next.
Chris is next. You son of a bitch. I guess. Is Chris still with us? Apparently, Chris is not still with us. We will get back to Chris.
I am here.
Oh,
I'm
there
here,
he is.
you fucking
There's
mooks.
my little guy.
I'm here. I don't really understand, basically having a peace offering and standing out there with your dick out, and essentially what you have is everyone out there looking at your dick. And if you think about it, what's the difference? Like, you got your dick out there, you got everyone else. But if you think about it, what if you had this giant fucking ass?
And the dick was out there?
Exactly, and the dick is out there trying to fuck the dick.
Uh-huh.
All right.
UFC 161, that
was
a
a succinct UFC 161 breakdown. Yao, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's kind of hard to follow that, but I enjoyed this card as an educated fan. As an educated fan, I enjoyed these fights. I guess for some that are just getting into MMA or whatever, then it's kind of hard. But as an educated fan, I enjoyed the fights. I enjoyed watching what I saw. It was a great night of fights.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't the best card. I mean, 9 decisions. What was that? 9? Yeah. 9 out of 11. James Krause looked really good. I was really impressed with his performance. Stipe Miocic looked good, but other than that, it really just wasn't. And no one really stood out. But yeah, it was okay if you're an educated fan, like Yao said.
Yeah, I wasn't upset with the card either. Even though some of them, or a lot of them, went to the decision, I thought a lot of them were pretty good. The Alexis Davis and Rosie Sexton fight was really good as usual. The women came out and performed, trying to prove themselves. The Stipe and Roy Nelson fight was fucking awesome. I had a good feeling that Stipe could get the upset. Sean Jordan came out and did exactly what I thought he could do, and there's a lot of good fights on there. So I don't know why everybody's all upset about it.
Look, I'm an educated fan, and the card fucking sucked. The only card that was worse than this was Frank Mir versus Crow Cop, which is going down in history as the worst card ever. Card fucking sucked. The only exciting fight was watching Pat Barry get knocked the fuck out. Other than that,
is anybody willing to admit that they streamed this fight online?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I feel like I should get my money back, and I didn't even order the fight.
All right, we will take sort of an informal poll here. All of us watched UFC 161. None of us will admit to watching the fight by illegal means, but chime in if you paid a pay-per-view fee to watch this card tonight.
I'd like to chime in.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Oh,
Yes,
shit.
I did.
Fuck. All of you guys need to send in letters to Dana White. I don't know. This is some grand larceny going on.
I knew what I was
All right,
buying,
so
though. I knew
Ramses,
it, though.
Yao, and Ross. I guess we'll just pass it off to you three. What are your feelings about buying this horrendous piece of shit?
Well, here's the thing, man. I don't steal from the UFC because I just have too much respect for the fighters and I'm not talking about the millionaire fighters, man. Like, honestly, I'm hoping some of this pay-per-view money goes to John McGuire, even though he wasn't on the main card. These dudes fighting in the prelims. You know, they deserve a little cash too, and the better off the UFC does, the more money these kids make. And so, yeah, I buy them every time just because it feels like I'm stealing from the fighters when it's pay-per-view. That's the only reason I ever buy them. I knew this card was going to be shit.
Yo, yeah. Can I write a check for that?
Yeah, I buy every single pay-per-view now, and I knew what I was buying, and I was buying a fight that I really wanted to see. I enjoyed every single fight on it. I'm a loyal fan, and I will continue to watch every single UFC fight there is.
I'm sure you were pumped about seeing your fellow Black Zillions, Jimmo and Evans, come away with wins. We'll talk about those fights a little later. But Ross, you also bought the card. What did you think about paying $60 for this?
You know, it sucks. It sucks to lose $60 like that. But at the same time, I support everybody who's in the whole operation, and I support the sport. So I'm not too down on the fact that I just wasted $60.
For me, it's all about hitting up a bar early or finding a friend who's willing to buy the card. Those are the real ways to get that free UFC action. But I do feel a little bad for people who spent $60 on the card. Let's hit up. Yeah.
If I could just chime in, I'm sorry. I just want to say that you know, when you're buying a pay-per-view, you're not paying to see finishes or submissions. You're just paying to see the people fight. What happens when they fight, that's a different story, but you're paying to see the people fight. So I don't think it's a matter of losing your money or like feeling bad about it, because you know what you paid for, you know? So I just had to throw that in there.
For sure. And let's start from the bottom up before we get to the main card of the FX card. Let's talk about both of the prelim fights first. Did you agree with both of them? Did you disagree with either? Yves Jabouin winning a split decision win against Dustin Peg. A lot of people thought Peg won that fight, and Yves won the fight because of a little bit of home cooking by the judges. You also had John the One McGuire, who's training at One MMA over in Oregon. He lost unanimous decision, 29-28. Did you agree with both judges' calls? I was rooting for the one, but I do think he lost to Mitch Clark. As far as the Jabouin versus Peg fight, I thought Peg won that. I thought that was a little bit of BS, maple-flavored Canadian home-style cooking. Ramses, what did you think about the two Facebook cards that, like we mentioned before, you had 9 of the 11 fights go to decision. Both of these went to decision. What did you think about them?
Yeah, I understand both decisions. I mean, the Yves Jabouin fight, whatever the fuck his name is, that honestly, it was close enough to where, you can understand a decision going in favor of the hometown hero, which is what you should expect in this business. That's the nature of the business, right? You go to a fucking split decision, it's gonna go out to the hometown hero every time, alright? These judges want to get the all-star 5-star hotel treatment while they're there in that fucking city. Who wouldn't? And as far as McGuire versus fucking Mitch Clark, yeah, damn shame, but he lost that fight straight up. It was a damn shame. Hopefully, he'll get a couple wins, just a little more experience on a comeback or something. But how much of a fancy boy was that Mitch Clark at the end of that fucking, after he won with his little...
Should I cue up the music, cocksucker?
No, I'm not ready yet.
Do I need to cue...
Oh, no, not yet.
I'm queuing up the music.
I'm saving it, man. I'm saving it, dude. This fucking Mitch Clark, though, everyone knows what I'm talking about, right? Because a lot of people didn't even watch it. We're gonna have to get a clip of him and his fucking little this is all I wanted victory speech post-fight where he starts crying and shit. Tries to make a fucking storybook ending out of a fucking Facebook prelim. Get the fuck out of here, Mitch Clark, you fucking fancy boy. What? I'm done talking. Let's see what kind of disaster it's gonna be when I pass it to Chris. Chris, you there, man? What do you think, man?
You with us, Chris? Alright, I'll move it on to Yao. Yao, what did you think about the two Facebook fights? Did you agree with both of those decisions?
Yeah, I agree with both decisions. John McGuire, he lost straight up, like Ramsey said. But the Eve fight, I'm not even gonna try to say his last name. Yeah, I agree with that decision. I wanted him to win. I'm a fan of his. And as we see this a lot lately, it's not just the fighting that can help you win decisions. It's like the whole show. Like, I forgot who said it back in the past, where Ben Henderson, what he's doing in between rounds, hyping up the crowd, screaming, running back and forth, that helps you. That, like, shows the judges that you're, in the fight and everything. So the crowd is cheering him on. I think that helped him, but he did what he needed to do to win the fight. So I have to agree either way.
For sure. Is Chris back with us? I think I saw a sign of life from him. You with us, Chris? Nope, this is awesome radio. All right, Ross, what did you think of the two Facebook fights? Jabouin over Peg, Mitch Clark over John McGuire.
Well, first off, I just want to say that I hope Chris is still alive. Second of all...
50-50.
Yeah, 50-50 is right. Second of all, I'm just going to answer this with one word. Work.
Work. All right, Mogul, what did you think about the two Facebook/YouTube fights, Jabouin and Clark taking the decisions?
Yeah, I think that Yves Jabroni or whatever the fuck his name is, I think Dustin Page beat him. I mean, it was a close fight, but I had money on him, so that might have played a factor, but I'm leaning towards Dustin Page. I think he won that. As far as John McGuire, he lost that shit fair and square, but I think Dustin Page beat fucking Yves Jabroni.
True enough. We'll move to the FX card. Really nothing to debate over those first three fights. Roland Delorme and Edwin Figueroa fighting to a very impressive fight. What could have been fight of the night, but wasn't. 29-28 unanimous decision in favor of Roland Delorme. Sean Pearson defeating Kenny Robinson via majority decision, 29-28, 29-28, 28-28. And James Krause defeating Sam Stout with 13 seconds to go. Third round, 4:47 via guillotine. James Krause earns $100,000 for his efforts as long as he pisses clean. The fight of the night was Stout Krause, and the submission of the night was James Krause. Knockout of the night was Sean Jordan. We'll get to that fight first when we get to the main card. Really not too much to talk about those first three fights other than James Krause. All right, 3 weeks ago, Krause was not in the UFC. All of a sudden, he's in the UFC, and he has $100,000. Simply enough, if you went from nothing to $100,000, what are you doing with this $100,000? You have $100,000 in the bank, bonus money you weren't budgeting out. You can spend it on anything after taxes. Who the fuck cares what it is? What are you spending $100,000 on, Ramses?
First off, let me just say, I fell asleep during the Krause fight, alright? This is the point in the card where I fucking fell asleep. And I'm glad I did it, man. If I had $100,000, I'd probably buy a nice, like a nice, like, hammock to watch these UFC fights. And then the rest would, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you people, man. It would go to cocaine. Yeah?
If I'm Krause and I get this $100,000, I'm putting it away because I don't know what my next fight is. So I don't want to just go spending recklessly. So I'm putting it away.
The Jew, what are you doing with $100,000?
I'm making sure that I pass my drug test, so I get that money.
What are you doing with $100,000, Brooks?
A lot of partying, like Ramsey said, probably a lot of drugs. I don't know, man. I'd be at the bar a lot, at least for the first week afterwards, and then I'd probably just, spend a lot of time training after that. But you got to party it up afterwards, getting your first win in the UFC and winning all that money.
Brooks' ass would buy enough blow to kill an elephant. Mogul, what would you do with $100,000 if you were in the shoes of James Krause?
I would bet $100,000 on Frankie Edgar beating Charles Oliveira, and probably fucking throw Mark Munoz in it.
True enough. And Chris has rejoined the call. We'll slot him in back after Ramses on the next topic. Chris, if you're in James Krause's shoes, you got $100,000 in bonus money. What are you doing with that cash?
That's a very strange question you would ask me, sir. James Krause obviously, has a very weird thing that he'd be doing. Beyond that, I can't really say what I'd be doing against anything else. I really, personally, I wouldn't say anything against any of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, everybody. I mean, word on the street, Yao the Truth, Brooks Bailey, Ross, King Ying. I wouldn't say anything against any of them. Nobody. Sorry.
Yo, $100,000. What are you buying, Chris? You buying a car? You buying a house? You buying drugs? You buying hookers?
I'm buying drugs.
What kinds of drugs?
I'm buying drugs that all these people would like to fucking be doing. Everyone here.
Fair enough. Drugs that everybody is gonna want to be doing. All right. Actually, that's probably the best response we got from everybody. All right, Jake Shields and Tyron Woodley. It was a split decision. A lot of people disagreed. One of the judges had it 30-27 Woodley. The other two judges had it 29-28 Jake Shields. The crowd obviously was going for T Wood. Ramses, what did you think about the fight? Did you see it? If so, who did you think won?
I did not see this fucking fight, man. I was just too busy just doing the drugs that everybody wants to be doing, man. I did not see it. I heard it was a stinker. I heard it was probably the worst fight on the card. This was during the time where I took my nap. Honestly, I did. I fell asleep during this fucking card. I'm not just even making that up. Check out my timeline. That's the word on the street. Okay.
Chris, what do you think about Jake Shields?
Jake Shields is a fucking asshole, and I think anyone who would beat him is an awesome dude. I think that King Ying, aka Wu-Tang, would beat the fuck. He beat the fuck out of that kid.
Word on the street. Yeah, what do you think about Shields Woodley? Did you judge it toward T Wood or Shields?
I thought Jake Shields. I'm a big fan of T Wood, but I thought Jake Shields won the unanimous decision. I was disappointed in Tyron Woodley. I really wanted him to win this fight. I knew he could. He didn't go out and perform the way that he could. He wasn't pushing. He wasn't going for the takedown. He was only throwing his right hand. He wasn't throwing the left hook. He was getting pinned against the cage when he's the dominant wrestler. He just didn't show up, but he'll learn from this and he'll be back. I know he can beat Jake Shields, but that's what I thought of it.
Chris, are you trying to play against these kids?
I would never play against any of these guys.
All right, Ross, what did you think about Shields versus Woodley?
Fuck you.
I thought it was horrible. I don't even want to pick a winner. It was just so bad. I don't want to even talk about it.
He's not even trying to talk about that shit. Brooks Bailey, Shields versus Woodley. It was a split decision. Did you agree with the decision?
Yeah, I agreed with the decision, but probably only because I picked Jake to win initially. But, had I picked Woodley, I would have probably thought Woodley won. So, it was obviously the worst fight on the card. But, I think Jake won.
Brooks thought Jake won. King Ying, the mogul, what do you think about Jake Shields versus Tyron Woodley?
First, I need a translation. I heard my name. I need to know what was said.
Yeah, I think Chris was just saying follow you because he's drunk and he's saying
why the fuck are you guys talking about me? I don't give a shit about myself. Go ahead, King Ying. For the love of God, don't.
I think he's giving random people shout outs.
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
shout out King Ying.
I called Jake Shields. I knew he was going to win. I told you to bet the farm on it. What else you want me to tell you? I think I was the only one that picked him. Woodley's overrated. He's a bum. Well, yeah. Jake,
man, this fucking Tyron Woodley, Tyron, whatever, he's Tyrone to me, versus Shields. This fight was absolute dog shit from what I'm hearing. Can we actually just take 1 second to talk about what happened last night to motherfucking John Fitch real quick?
Oh yeah, let me go
John
first.
fucking Fitch, yo, and Mogul, and yo, and we're doing it in reverse order because Mogul's got some shit to drop on you, motherfuckers. Mogul, what do you think about Fitch Berkman?
Mogi.
That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I honest to God believe John Fitch should be on suicide watch. He's probably going to kill himself.
Kill yourself.
First of all, Steve Mazzagatti is retarded. He's like mentally retarded. He's just trying to like. He has no idea what he's doing. He's just, there. He has no fucking idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it was crazy. That dude, that was like the end of Gladiator. He just like stood up a fucking above him and just like looked at the crowd. That shit was crazy.
Yo, I guess going in reverse order, we got Brooks next. Brooks, did you see Fitch Berkman?
Yeah, I seen that fight. Berkman's just been crazy impressive lately. It's wins against Aaron Simpson and John Fitch now in a row, and those are two tough guys. So obviously he's starting to come into his own, and it wasn't like he just came out there and caught a lucky guillotine real quick. He actually hit him with a few good punches and rocked him before he actually caught the guillotine. So I think that Berkman's well on his way up, and I wouldn't be surprised if when they fought again, if he does fight Fitch again, that he beats him again. I think maybe Fitch is, I just think he might be done for.
Yo, Brooks, Eric Silva, Josh Berkman, who you got?
Eric Silva.
Damn. All right, Ross, what'd you think of the fight? I know that Juke caught it. What'd you think?
Wow. That's what I thought. I thought that Fitch was dead. Josh Berkman is not a bum. Fitch may be reduced to bum status. I guess Ramsey will chime in on that, but wow.
Yow, wow. Can I write a check for that?
Yow, yow. Yow, 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 yow.
Yow!
Yow,
Look.
dude. Yow, listen.
Uh-huh.
Listen, I'm not even going to waste my time speaking. I'm just going to let Ramses drop the word on the street on you fools. Go ahead, Ramses.
That shit is crazy.
Yeah, people. The word on the street is that John Fitch is approaching bum status. If there were a gas tank and like it said bum, it would be if it were Mortal Kombat, John Fitch's health bar would be blinking right now, motherfuckers. Be blinking.
Damn.
All right, he's almost done. It was embarrassing to watch that
dude
shit.
Is ready for a fucking sandwich.
He was humiliated. John Fitch was. He was thrown around and tossed around like one of those dummies in Joe Rogan's garage.
I can't
John
wait.
Fitch. Mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
I can't wait till this motherfucker is fucking settling down with his fucking asshole, and we're both fucking doing the same thing, doing ourselves a little fucking sandwich in here.
What the fuck?
I don't think John Fitch will ever come back from this loss here. It was too devastating and embarrassing. Making his debut after leaving the UFC. He walked in there acting like he was a top 10 fighter. He came out... Yes.
Ramsey, I got a conspiracy theory. Hold up.
Hey!
Listen.
Ready? Hold up.
Here we go.
Ramsey, shut up. Listen, Ramsey.
Ten.
What do you think the odds are that Dana White personally paid Steve Mazzagatti to let Berkman kill Fitch?
I think somebody had themselves a little tangeroo.
Well, the problem is that Dana White, that would have to be a long con because Dana White and Steve Mazzagatti hate each other. So,
Would it still work though? Because you know what I'm saying. Like if he gets caught, you can't have the connection there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, my conspiracy was
speaking of works, this is a perfect time. We've beat Fitch Berkman to death. Fitch is a bum. Berkman moving his way up, maybe in the UFC soon. Speaking of works, this is the work we need to be talking about, and I'll pass it to Ramses first. Pettis with a meniscus tear, out in his fight
That's
against
the worst.
Jose Aldo. Korean Zombie is going to replace him. Now, that's not where the work's happening. If you know a magician, the trick does not happen where everybody's looking. It's all about sleight of hand. The trick happens where the audience isn't looking. Everybody right now is looking at Aldo versus Chan Sung Jung. You know what's going to happen? Benson Henderson versus TJ Grant at UFC 164 in Milwaukee. They cannot sell a ticket for shit. I was talking with Ross Finkelstein. He's the one who first keyed me into it. UFC 164 isn't selling for shit in Milwaukee. Guess who's from Milwaukee? Anthony Pettis. Guess who deserves a title shot at lightweight way more than TJ Grant? Anthony Pettis. Guess who's gonna get that title shot at UFC 164?
I disagree,
Whether Grant backs up
There's
via the injury. I'm starting with Ramses. You guys start last time, son. Ramses, what do you think? Is this a work? Is Pettis backing out of the Aldo fight so we can get into the Bendo fight so they'll sell tickets in Milwaukee? Pettis' hometown.
Yeah, there is some fuckery afoot, that's for damn sure, except I haven't worked out the entire end game in my mind. I don't see exactly where the pieces are going to fall yet, but of course we all know it's because of the ticket sales and because you got to make that pay-per-view money.
Pay-per-view sales too. I mean, think about the amount of pay-per-views people are going to buy. Pettis Henderson, the rematch, the Showtime kick rematch over who the fuck is TJ Grant? Is this is this a hockey player? What the fuck?
It's chess, man. Every fight, you're supposed to, of course, make the most amount of money you can on that fight, but also set people up to make more money on the next fucking fight. So I haven't figured this one out yet, but as soon as I have the word on the street about this Pettis Bendo shit, I'll let you know. What do you think? I believe it's Chris, right? Chris is still there.
Chris, is this shit a work?
Dude, don't fucking...
Alright, Yao.
Don't fuck with me, man.
Don't fuck with me, man. Yao, all this bullshit, is this a work?
Yeah, you heard it from the man himself, Ramses. He knows what's going on. And I do have to give Ross his credit. I did see when he tweeted about, Pettis being from Milwaukee and everything and how, that they'll make much more ticket sales. And, yeah, I'm really interested to see if TJ Grant would get a quote-unquote injury or if they'll just take him out. Or I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to put Pettis in.
Some bullshit. Ross, you're the one who keyed me into it at first. This makes so much sense. Tell us what the word on the street is.
Well, basically, you guys said it already. The word on the street is that Ben Henderson and TJ Grant can't sell shit in Milwaukee, Pettis' hometown. Pettis is injured, and then TJ Grant will get injured. Really, he'll get a nice six-figure sum to step aside, get a nice little vacation, fight the winner. And yeah, that's what they're going to do, because they haven't sold any seats in the lower bowl. And tickets have been on sale for 2 weeks now?
Yep. Yeah, that's fucking sad. Brooks?
Yeah, holy fuck, this is a work. I mean, you guys have just brought me into a whole new mindset on this thing. I didn't know anything about it until you guys just clued me in. So it makes complete sense that he would come back to Milwaukee and fight instead of TJ Grant. You guys have already all said it. He can't sell a ticket for shit. So I guess, I'm going to be pretty pissed now if we don't see Pettis Henderson. So I guess that's what better happen.
Yeah, Pettis' next opponent better be Aldo or Benson. I really hope we still see him fight Jose. That would be an incredible fight. He would be fighting in Brazil and would have the hometown disadvantage. We actually do have a caller, but because we are at the end of the order, let's get to the mogul really quick before we chat with this new caller.
All right, listen, you guys are fucking smoking bath salts. There's no conspiracy.
I am smoking bath salts, man.
Listen. The only thing, Pettis, the dude he was training with in Brazil said it was a light training session. There is no way he really got hurt. So I think Pettis got a little bit of anxiety. He didn't want to fight Aldo. He was seeing him face to face. So I think he just pulled out. That's the only thing. This whole TJ Grant's going to fight Benson Henderson 100%.
True. And we do got a caller. He's calling in from the motherfucking 209, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if this is a Diaz brother or what. Caller, you feel like identifying yourself, and what'd you call to talk about, and what do you think about this Pettis bullshit?
Well, first off, this is Joe in the 209. Second of all, who cares about Pettis? Although it's all about Pettis versus Henderson, 2.
Yep.
And 3, Pat Barry got buried.
Yo, that's actually the next topic. I'm glad you called up. We just wrapped up all the prelim bullshit, all the unanimous decision bullshit. We'll lead it off with you before we get to myself or Ramsey's. Pat Barry and Sean Jordan. Sean Jordan with an incredible performance, knocking out Barry in the first round. What'd you think of that fight, Joe, from the 209?
Holy crap! What was it, like a minute long? Pat Barry barely lasted. He was like
59 seconds.
14-year-old high school boy having sex for the first time. It was crazy.
Yo, Sean Jordan. Where does Sean Jordan go up from here? He used to be a college football player or some bullshit. Does he really have clout at the heavyweight division?
I think Sean Jordan has to fight Stipe. I'm not REM Miocic.
Fuck yeah. Yo, Ramses, what's your thought? Jordan versus Barry. It was the knockout of the night. Jordan is $50,000 richer off of this 59-second TKO. It was the only KO or TKO of the card, so he got it by default. Barry was a big favorite, and he came out with the fucking victory. What do you think?
Oh, come on, people. I saw on the timeline, live tweeting, the people were acting like it was some sort of shocker. We all knew what this shit was. It's just two big guys that were gonna fucking just hit each other like a bunch of big idiots. And we're all gonna enjoy it. We all knew it was gonna be a first round fight, right? I mean, we all knew that. Holy shit. So people are acting like it was a miracle that Sean Jordan pulled it off. Not really. Pat Barry's like, look at his record. It's win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. This time the chips were on black. It was lose, all right? It was all over. But yeah, I'm not fucking surprised. Damn shame, though. Of course, we all want Pat Barry to win. Sean Jordan, man, he just, he's a fucking dime a dozen. I'd like to knock this guy out at the bar here in Austin. You see him everywhere. Pat Barry, 1 in a million, though. I hope he sticks with it. Yeah, man. Other than that, though, this fight, I was honestly, I'd just woken up from the nap. I was coming back from just getting a Gatorade, and then I just caught the tail end of this, him getting knocked out. It was ridiculous.
This fight was unique in that every fight on this card went 15 minutes, with the exception of the Kraus Stout fight that went 14 minutes 47 seconds, and this fight that just went 59 seconds. All these fights went long as fuck, except for Jordan Barry. Chris, are you still alive, and what did you think of the fight if you saw it? You with us, Chris? I think Chris died. All right, yeah.
This is really unprofessional.
Yeah, what did you think of Jordan Barry?
This was hard for me. I really wanted Pat Barry to win this fight. I really thought his kickboxing would be the difference, but he didn't get to use it. Got finished in 59 seconds. Hats off to, I don't even know his name, Sean Jordan. Just remembered. Yeah, hats off to him. He knocked out Pat Barry. I'm really hoping Pat Barry comes back, though. I hope they give him another fight so he can win another fight.
Ross?
Yeah, Sean Jordan looked good. Anything can happen in a heavyweight fight. Pat Barry should probably retire. I mean, the dude's getting knocked out left and right. If he's not winning, he's losing every other fight by pretty brutal knockout. I mean, that was a pretty late stoppage, in my opinion. It wasn't extremely late, but it was pretty late. And yeah, he should retire and just coach his girlfriend, his daughter.
Ross says he should retire. What's next for Barry? What's next for Jordan? What did you think of the fight, Brooks?
I expected Sean Jordan to be able to go in there and win the fight. I figured he would get it down to the ground and get some ground and pound in. I didn't think he would actually stand and trade and win the fight, knocking him out standing. I thought that, he would, like I said, he would get it to the ground and either win by ground and pound or get a submission. But, I figured going into the fight he would win, even though he was a huge underdog. There's a bunch of motherfuckers, saying that, Jordan didn't really stand a chance. and I guess they were all wrong. I guess I was wrong in the fact that he knocked him out standing. But other than that, I knew he would win the fight.
Mogul.
Yeah, I mean, Pat Barry, the UFC's not going to cut him just because anytime he fights, somebody's getting knocked the fuck out. Fans like him. But, like I think Ross said, he definitely should retire. The motherfucker's getting knocked out left and right. I thought Congo killed him. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Sean Jordan's athletic as shit. He's a sleeper in the heavyweight division. But, yeah.
For sure, yeah. Jordan definitely is a sleeper. He's athletic as fuck. He showed that against Barry. I don't know if Barry's going to retire. The UFC will probably keep him around. He's not on a crazy loss streak yet. He's only really lost, he is win-loss. He's lost one in a row. Lost to Struve, beat Moorcraft, lost to Johnson, beat Del Rosario, lost to Jordan. They'll probably give him Patsy to beat because he is a very marketable guy. Jordan's won 4 of his last 5 against LeVar Johnson, Ole Thompson, Mike Russo, and Pat Barry. All wins by finish. None of these guys are easy to finish. The only fight in those 5 he lost was that unanimous decision to Czech Congo at UFC 149. So this dude's definitely on the up and up. And in that loss against Congo was, I believe, a late replacement. He replaced Big Nog, actually, to face Czech Congo at UFC 149. Always hard to fill those big shoes. Let's talk about the women. Alexis Davis, Rosie Sexton. Sexton put on a performance better than a lot of us thought. We all thought Davis would dominate the fight bell to bell, but Davis actually was a little threatened by Sexton in the first round, came out in the second and third round and really showed her clout, though. I know Ramses didn't watch this and probably has no opinions on it. Joe, I guess we'll slot you in where Chris was. We'll do Ramses, Joe, Yao, Ross, Brooks, then Mogul. Ramses, what'd you think about Davis versus Sexton? And if you didn't see it, how did you picture it going down in your mind? Women's MMA. Word on the street.
Yeah, I did actually see this fight. This is right when I was waking up from my nap, and this was a kind of tough one for me to puzzle at and figure out beforehand because, Rosie Sexton, she's not really that appealing, but she's got this short kind of foreign Asian like thing going on. But on the other hand, you have Alexis.
She could give a hell of a deep tissue massage.
Yeah, Alexis is that tall, like, smiling, cheerful, long-haired brunette. I like that, man. The smiling gets a little weird. It was creepy at the weigh-ins and on the walkout. We don't need to see why the whole time. Well, that's what I'm getting at here, man. That's what I couldn't figure out at first. But I have to say, in the end, definitely Alexis. If I had to, if it was a Tuesday night, and, I didn't have to do the podcast for some reason or another, I'd probably consider having her over and maybe cooking up a little shrimp and pasta.
You're underrating the alligator. I would bring Alexis around my around my folks. She's a very cute chick. I've never seen her in an interview, so I don't know if she's a Misha Tate level cunt bag or not. But she's a lot. A lot cuter than you're leaning on, you son of a bitch. I guess Joe dropped out, so we'll skip over that. Yao, you'll be after Ramses. What do you think about Alexis Davis and Rosie Sexton? And would you invite Alexis Davis back in front of your family? Would they be cool with you bringing back a white chick, a Canadian?
I actually only saw the first round of this fight. And then the second and third round, I just went to the bathroom and stuff like that. I'm not a really big fan of WMMA, but I did like Alexis Davis stand up. I like the way she moved, her punches and elbows and everything. So I liked her striking. And then after that, I just, did what I had to do. Grabbed some snacks, went to the bathroom. Would I invite her back to my house?
Jacked off. Man, yeah, I was going on a rant. I was ripping the bong, and nobody was there to save that shit. I edited it quick, jacked off.
Jake.
Man, no. That is not a bomb on me. That's a bomb on Yao. Yao, that's a goddamn bomb, son. Ross, what'd you think about the fight? What'd you think about Yao leaving me out to dry? I think I have 10 seconds to rip the bong. Yao starts waxing poetic. I ask him a pretty deep question. He offers me a 5 fucking second answer. What the fuck is that? Leaving all this dead air that I'm going to need to go back and edit out and post. This is bullshit, Ross. What do you think about that? And what do you think about Davis versus Sexton? And you know what? For fuck's sake, you better talk longer than 20 seconds, because I'm going to rip this shit again, cocksucker.
Yes.
All right, you son of a bitch. Brooks, what do you think about Davis versus Sexton?
First of all, were you saying that Alexis Davis is good looking?
She's hot as fuck, bro.
All right.
Into those skinny brunettes. Into those skinny brunettes.
Well,
I'm also drunk right now.
So Misha Tate or Alexis Davis?
Tate.
Misha Tate, for sure. Yo, I did notice when she was clinched up against Rosie Sexton that backside. You're talking a major deficit. Misha Tate, you're not talking any sort of deficits in that department.
All right,
in the ace department, as our buddy Mogul would say. She's got that ace.
Well, anyway, I gotta disagree about Alexis Davis anyway. But the fight was pretty entertaining. Some good grappling exchanges. I thought I was really surprised when Rosie came out in the first round and was, putting a pretty good beating on her. But other than that, I was, it went pretty much exactly how we all thought it would after that. So, there's nothing much more to say about it. Alexis Davis probably isn't ever going to be, a title holder or anything, but, she's fun to watch. Her fight against who'd she fight last in Strikeforce? Kaufman. That was a really, really entertaining fight. So hopefully we can see some more like that from her, and I won't be disappointed in watching her, even though I don't agree necessarily with your outlook on her.
Yo, what up, Alexis Davis? This Christmas, my folks, we're going to be in Tampa Bay. You're fucking up in Canada. It's cold. Come down. I'll introduce you to the folks. We got a guest room. I got a little bit of Rohypnol for you. It's all good. Mogul, what do you think of Davis versus Sexton? And am I fucking the only one here who thinks that Davis is a cutie?
Look, she's alright, but look.
She alright?
She's alright, but look, the fight went exactly how I thought it would. But listen, I'm making this prediction now, so from like a year from now, I can tell everyone I know. So there's a black girl on the Ultimate Fighter. I have no idea who she is. I don't know her name. Never seen her fight. She'll be champion next year. This time, that's the bet.
Yo, over Ronda Rousey?
Over Ronda Rousey, knock her out in the first round.
Damn, calling the Yao. Yeah, what do you think about that? Are black chicks really superior? You are our token black panelist.
Yeah, do you have a sister?
I do.
When you were younger, like now you fucked up. When you were younger, no, listen. Aren't black girls physically gifted? Like they're just natural born fighters. Like how many times has she fucked you up? Be honest. Be honest. Like, she hit you with the windmill and you just covered up. Tell the truth, yeah.
Yeah, Wu-Tang is right. They're very, aggressive and will attack you and everything. Like, my sister, she still beats me up today. So, I know what Wu-Tang means. And I'm excited to see this girl from The Ultimate Fighter.
Thank you.
Alexis Davis, too. She's a beast. She was number 6. She'll be moving up. All right, we'll move up. Ryan Jimmo, Igor Prokraik. This was a snoozer. Jimmo, in the last of it, was literally just clinching Prokraik up because he knew he had the victory, and Prokraik was sticking his arms out. On a scale of 1 to 10, how disgusted did the end of this fight make you? I don't even want to talk about what's next for Jimmo or Prokraik. I love Jimmo. We'll probably have him on the show again. But what the fuck, man? Ramses?
Yeah, this was a battle of the bums right here. This was a loser leaves town match, and I think they should both probably get their walking papers. Even Jimmo, at least he didn't give a victory speech. He didn't try that fake ass robot shit. He apologized. So I guess let's find it in our hearts to at least give Ryan Jimmo enough credit for recognizing that. But we'll take one apology, Jimmo. This is the fucking UFC. You can't play this shit like you did in the last fucking organization. You gotta keep it. You gotta own up next time and fight for real. No more apologies. This is your one chance. I'm willing to give it to him. Word on the street.
Yeah.
Before I give my opinion on the fight, I just have to ask Ramses a question. You called Ryan Jimmo's robot fake?
Well, I mean, like, if he would have done it, tonight, it would have been a fake-ass robot, you know? You know what I mean? No, he does it exceptionally well. I will give him credit. I of course, myself, have perfected it, being one of the biggest Michael Jackson fans in Texas. But Ryan Jimmo, could give me a run for his money, but he does it well. I'll give him that. But if he had busted it out tonight, it would have been fake. People would have been booing him. It just would have been nonsense.
Okay, I see what you mean. No. But, yeah, the Ryan Jimmo fight, I enjoyed it. Ryan Jimmo is a black zillion. He comes from my favorite team down in South Florida. One more in the win column for them. You know, we win fights. That's what we do. He stuck to
Good one.
He stuck to a secure game plan. He did what he needed to do to win the fight. He knew his job was probably on the line, so which it always is for any fighter. But he did what he had to do to win the fight, and I was proud.
Black Zillions win fights. That's funny. Ross, what do you think about Jimmo Pokraik?
What happened? I fell asleep.
Exactly, Brooks.
First of all, the excuses after the fight, that shit was lame. He could have fucking stopped at any point, but he kept on grabbing the microphone and shit. But anyway, the fight pretty much went, how I expected it to. When Jimmo came into the UFC, the first it was against who was it in the first fight?
Anthony Perosh, I think.
Perosh, right, and he knocked him out in like 7 seconds, and then he came out against Ahuna and kicked him in the fucking face and almost knocked him out. And before he was in the UFC, I was watching him a lot in the MFC, and he wasn't doing shit. He was just doing, enough to win fights, and it just seemed like a totally new fighter coming into the UFC. And I think that his striking has improved a lot. But, he kind of reverted back to the MFC ways, I guess, and did, what he had to do to get the win instead of trying to come out there and just knock Igor's head off. But, yeah, I mean, it was an all right fight. It wasn't the worst fight on the card, so I'm not too disappointed.
Brooks, what I love about you is that you're dependable. When I pass it off to you, I know I can rip the bong. I'll have at least 30 seconds to pack it up, light it, clear it, and I'm definitely doing it legally. I'm not in a place where it's illegal to do it, like Florida, because that would be bad.
Well, I hope MMA, the same for me.
MMA mogul, what'd you think of Jimmo versus Pokraik? That shit put you to sleep?
Nah, man, I don't think Jimmo had anything to apologize about, man. He won the fight. It wasn't the most impressive fight, but it wasn't the worst. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? The only thing I was disappointed, he didn't do the fucking robot. That's the only reason I kept the fight on. I was looking forward to that. I don't know what happened. He should have just pop locked and dropped it right there.
Pop lock and drop that shit, motherfucker. All right, we will go to the main and co-main event really quickly. If you do want to call in, the number is 213-457-3380. Don't forget to visit us on Twitter at the MMA Podcast and our buddies at MMA Mental, because they're doing work along with the Aunt Jimmy Show, Yow_the Truth, Ross Finkelstein, E before the L, King Ying 90. The Playground Samurai Brooks, MMA Addiction, 1A Cocksuckers. All right, let's get to the co-main event. Stipe Miocic beating Roy Nelson all of us thought that Roy Nelson was going to win, to the point that we weren't all just saying that he would win via first round, via overhand right, like he always does, because Stipe isn't a top 5 guy, like we thought. We were picking times. Stipe brought it out to unanimous decision, won a deserved 30-27. Roy Nelson broke a UFC record as far as significant strikes absorbed in a fight without getting finished, over 400. Nelson was getting rocked with shot after shot. This dude has one of the most iron chins. We saw him get battered around by Junior Dos Santos, by Fabricio Verdum, by Frank Mir, and now by Stipe Miocic. None of them could finish him, but all of them dominated the fuck out of Roy Nelson, this being the most surprising out of all of his UFC losses. Goddamn, Stipe Miocic, he's now a top 5 guy. Dana White alluded to that fact in the UFC presser. He said that Mark Hunt's out of the heavyweight top 10. Stipe Miocic is in. He'll probably be fighting one of the winners of one of these upcoming fights, Brown versus Overeem, maybe. The other one's not coming to mind immediately. Oh yeah, Mir versus Barnett. Maybe he fights the winner of Mir versus Barnett. What the fuck do you think of this fight? This was probably the most surprising result of the entire card. Ramses?
Man, they probably had fucking Stipe Miocic or whatever the fuck. They probably had him warming up for this fight, training specifically for Big Country for about a year now straight. This was the ace up the UFC sleeve. They needed to get this motherfucking Roy Nelson out. Look, I should have. This is my own fault for not predicting this and calling it earlier. This was obviously a big setup. I mean, come on, you're making a Big Country take another fight 6 weeks after his last one. It was a setup. He was ambushed. All right, I doubt he even trained a single fucking day, and I don't know why I didn't think about that. I guess we're all just expecting Roy Nelson to just always be out of shape, but the truth is he needs to train just to get in fat man shape, and he didn't do it this time. He didn't have time.
Fat man alert!
He was breaking open those lobster claws, just dipping that shit in butter, and just fucking washing it down with mashed potatoes and gravy that makes you want to slap your mama. And he's got a fight now. He took it for the money. Whatever, it backfired on him. God bless you, Roy Nelson. But God damn it, you looked like a bum tonight. Word on the street. Who's next? I don't fucking know.
Yao?
Yeah, this fight, I was actually happy that Stipe Miocic won. Originally, I thought that he would take Roy Nelson down at the beginning of every round, because I know he's a smart guy, and I know he's seen what Roy Nelson is capable of, that overhand right or even leaping left hook. So I knew he'd, avoid that. I thought he would take Roy Nelson down and just, hold him down. But he decided to stand with Roy Nelson and use his straight punches to offset and beat Roy Nelson to the punch, because Roy Nelson likes to throw these looping, overhands and circular punches. So Stipe kept his punches straight and direct and to the point, kind of like what GSP did to Koscheck back at UFC 124. He was obviously prepared for Josh Koscheck's overhand right, so he just kept his punches straight and direct, wanted to offset him. That's what Stipe Miocic did to Roy Nelson. It was great. Won a nice unanimous decision. Roy Nelson, he had disappointed me even though I wanted him to lose. He seemed like he just wanted to knock him out. He seemed like he didn't even train for it. He just thought he would go in there and just knock out a guy like Stipe, but he didn't. Where does he go from here? I don't know, but I enjoyed the fight.
Yeah, that's definitely arguable that he had gotten used to it. Before the fight against Miocic, he'd won 4 of his last 5. His last 3 via first round KO, those overhand rights against Herman, Mitrione, and Congo. Really quickly, before we pass it to Ross, I sort of want to include it when we talk to Ross Brooks and Mogul. But really quick, Ramses and Yao, Stipe Miocic, is he a legit title contender at heavyweight? He'll need to deal with guys like Alistair Overeem. I guess not Cormier if he's moving down. But, the loser of JDS Kane, Overeem, the winner of Mir versus Barnett, Bigfoot. Will Stipe be able to match up with those guys in in the future. He is relatively young. He's 30, 6'4", 245 pounds, 80-inch reach. He is a D1 wrestler, even though his wrestling skills can be improved a little bit. Ramses, I think Miocic can hang with the top heavyweights?
He's just another goddamn gatekeeper, man. They're just gonna bust him out, roll him out when they need to. He's a company man. Nobody cares about him. Nobody's gonna buy a pay-per-view with Miocic on it because you can't spell it. All right, so it's all over for him. Gatekeeper, all the way, in my opinion.
I agree, sadly, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that. I was actually thinking Bigfoot would be his next opponent, but I think Miocic beats Bigfoot easily. I think he beats most of the top heavyweights. But I'd like to see him face Bigfoot, and he'll definitely get close. If not fight for the title, he'll get very, very close.
Ross, what do you think about Big Country losing to Stipe Miocic? What do you think of the fight? Do you still think Nelson is in Bellator next? And Miocic, can he hang with the top guys?
Yeah, he's definitely going to Bellator next, that's for sure. Mike Kogan was just saying to him, this isn't how you want to go out. Is this really how you want it to end? He's definitely jumping ship. As far as Miocic, he looked good. He definitely beats someone like Bigfoot because Bigfoot's a bum. I agree with Yao. He could probably beat most of the top guys. I think if he fights Struve with a better game plan, he can win that fight. I'm kind of bummed, though, we don't get to see Roy Nelson versus Daniel Cormier, Kenny Powers versus Carl Winslow. That would have been a great fight.
Yes. He still might.
Brooks.
First of all, I had a good inkling that Stipe could beat Roy. I don't think it was a fluke at all.
Yeah, you were telling me before the fight. I think we might see an upset here.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Pretty much everybody I was talking to was counting him out completely, and like you said earlier, everyone was just talking about how long it would be before he could knock him out, as opposed to Stipe even having a chance. Everyone was saying over or under 3 minutes or whatever. But I was saying it. I don't know if it was on the round table or if it was on the early stoppage, but I had went ahead and said that. I picked Roy to win. I figured he would catch Stipe at some point with that big overhand and probably get the knockout. But I was wrong on that. But I did say I wouldn't be surprised if Stipe was able to outbox him and just mix in a few takedowns here and there, because technically I think he's a little more sound. Obviously, we know now, but I think he's more sound in the boxing department than Roy, and he come from Division I wrestling. So, I should have probably, went with that and picked Stipe, but I didn't. But aside from that, I think that Stipe, he's got a bright future. I think that he probably wouldn't do too well against, the top couple guys like, JDS and Cain Velasquez, but I think, like was said earlier, I think he would kill Antonio Silva. I think he would do well against Josh Barnett. Stefan Struve in a rematch, I think he could probably win that too. You have to experience that first loss to learn a little more, and I think that made him a whole lot better. And he had a lot of potential even before that. But I like Stipe, and I think he's going to do well in the future.
For sure, Mogul. What do you think about the fight? What's next for Nelson and Miocic?
Yeah, man, I think that Yao definitely deserves some credit for that. I thought he was smoking crack. I didn't think that fucking Stipe was going to beat Roy Nelson. Roy Nelson's a beast, in my opinion. I don't know how the fuck you get knocked out by Stefan Struve, but beat the shit out of Roy Nelson. But as far, I don't think he's. I think Cain would fucking murder him. I think that Junior Dos Santos would beat him. I think that stylistically he's a good matchup for Roy Nelson. He gets in and out, fucking like you were saying, like GSP did to Koscheck. But that was really impressive what he did, but I don't see him being top 5 at heavyweight.
For sure. Before we get to the main event, I thought he may have passed away. He left the call, but he has rejoined. Chris, you with us? Nope. All right, that's odd. He rejoined the call. I'm going to go ahead and cut him back off of the call. All right, the main event: Dan Henderson versus Rashad Evans. We all thought this was going to be a snoozer. It was a snoozer. I think Hendo won the first round. He rocked Evans, but Evans came back, won the second two, won 29-28 on the judges' cards. I'm not looking at it right now, but I think it was a split decision. The first judge had it 28-29 Henderson, but the second two had it 29-28 for Rashad Evans. This fight put you to sleep. What's next for either guy? I guess I'll break it down first. Yeah, it was just Evans. He was going for the takedown. He went for 10 takedowns, only got one of them. But he was the quicker guy. He was able to sort of outpace Dan for the second and third round. Next for Evans, I don't know, maybe the I don't even know. He's probably 2 or 3 fights away from a title shot. As far as Hendo, I don't think he needs to hang the gloves up next yet, but he definitely is pretty far off a title shot. Ramses, what did you think of that main event?
Well, this fight went exactly as I fucking predicted. It was just, the phrase is glorified sparring session. That's exactly what we saw. Actually, these people, they weren't supposed to really connect on each other or drop each other at all. Fucking Rashad, it looked like he had like a glass chin at one point. And like Henderson just like put out a straight left and dropped him with it. It looks like that was a total accident, which is probably why you saw Rashad get up and actually try to put the hurting to Hendo a few times after that. And that did win him the fight, but they were sparring. Tomorrow's Father's Day. They both got kids. They don't want to come home hurt, beaten up, spend the whole fucking day in the hospital. They worked this shit out. The fans there, it was sold out crowd. I'm sure they all felt, they saw a war of the fucking heroes, and some people buying the pay-per-view thought the same. But we all know what we fucking saw, and what I saw was a work, and I did present video evidence of Dan Henderson slipping up and telling Ariel Hawaii that it was going to be a work. And I quote him. Thank you. Word on the street.
Word on the street. Yao, what did you think of the main event? Your boy, Rashad Evans, your fellow Blackzilian, won the fight. What's next for Rashad? A lot of opportunities there for Rashad next. I don't know, maybe the winner of Sonnen versus Shogun?
Yep, I was very, very happy. I was elated, you could say, to see Rashad win his fight tonight. It was great. I thought the game plan that he was using, if it was a game plan, was great. He was sticking and moving, using a lot of head movement, coming in on Dan Henderson, leaning on him, making him work. It was great. I was enjoying every minute. I was nervous because especially after that first round when he got dropped from a jab by Dan Henderson. But it was good. I was happy Rashad won. As far as Rashad's next opponent, I would like to see him face the winner of Shogun versus Sonnen. Or if Machida beats Phil Davis, I'd like to see him avenge that loss to Lyoto Machida. Either way, he faces one of those 3 guys. As far as Dan Henderson, I just want to see Dan Henderson face Glover Teixeira or one of these guys like that. Or if not, just go back up to heavyweight like he did in Strikeforce and just try to knock somebody out or something. I don't know. But this fight was great. I did enjoy it. It was everything I hoped for, and that was for Rashad to win.
We are getting messages from the bigwigs up at corporate that we don't have enough racism in this episode. So, Yao, could we get a that's another one for the black guy quote, a little drop to play in future episodes?
Sure. Yep. Tonight was one more in the win column and one more for the black guy.
Hell yeah. Ross, what'd you think of that main event?
It didn't look like a work to me. It looked like they actually... Here's my philosophy. I think that they were going to do a work, but then Dan's like, you know what, fuck this, I want to punch him in the face. And then Rashad's like, you know what, fuck this, I'm better than this old man. And Rashad won the fight. As far as who should they fight next, Rashad should fight Glover Teixeira. That's really the only thing, in my opinion, that makes sense. Hendo should fight someone like maybe Shogun again, or the loser of that fight between Shogun and Chael, or maybe someone like Phil Davis. Yeah, something like that.
Brooks?
I wasn't too interested in the fight. I figured, it wasn't probably going to be too entertaining. I thought it would be more of a wrestling match. I thought Rashad would be able to hit a bunch of takedowns. Jake, you kind of clued me into it that it wasn't going to happen, and it didn't happen. It was on the feet for the most part. I guess I was kind of impressed by Rashad's durability, because I think he took a nice shot there in the third and just fired right back and actually rocked Hendo. But I was surprised by that. But to be honest, I'm not really interested in Rashad staying at light heavyweight. I want to see him down in the middleweight division. To be completely honest, I'm not really interested in seeing anybody at light heavyweight. I think John Jones is just too good. I'd like to see him move up to heavyweight. I don't think anybody in the light heavyweight division has much of a chance. I guess it would be all right to see Glover fight John, but Rashad, he's already had his chance. He got dominated. It would be, I guess, complete luck if he were to be able to take out John. But I want to see Rashad move down to middleweight. I think he'd be good there. And same thing for Hendo. Either that or Hendo move up to heavyweight because he's done well there in the past too, obviously. So that's my thoughts on that.
All right, Mogul, and then we'll get back to Yao. We've got a furious chat in the Skype chat now. Ross backing up his claims. Glover, he's saying Glover's murdered 4 straight guys. Top 10, still needs 1 or 2 wins. Before we get back to Yao, though, let's speak with the Mogul.
Oh, yeah. Yao's a crackhead. Don't listen to him. They should definitely match Rashad up with Glover. That's the fight to make right now. If they don't do that, I agree with him that Rashad should drop down to 185. I think he'd do a lot better there. But if he doesn't, definitely match him up with Glover. As far as Hendo, he should just fucking retire at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say, as far as the whole close to a title shot thing, we've seen time and time again. It doesn't matter. Like, Rashad, you never know what could happen. Rashad doesn't even have to fight again, and he could just automatically get a title shot. You never know what can happen, especially today, how we're seeing guys getting title shots. And I'm not just talking about Chael Sonnen. I'm talking about in every weight class. Sometimes you just get a title shot. So as far as, having to fight once or twice or 3 times, or even saying a guy is 3 fights away from a title shot, that doesn't matter. Like, you can win 1 or 2 fights and just get a title shot. And then these guys are saying that he should fight Glover Teixeira. That's ridiculous. I hope Rashad, if they offer him Glover Teixeira, I really hope Rashad doesn't take the fight. He deserves a top guy like Shogun or Chael, or to avenge his loss against Lyoto Machida.
A top guy, but Glover Teixeira is not a top guy. Are you on meth?
He's not on Rashad's level, is what I'm saying. If Rashad takes the fight, okay, he'll just fight him and beat him. But Rashad, I know Rashad. Excuse me.
4 people. Excuse me. Listen, he just murdered 4 fucking people. Rashad's a bum. Are you on crack?
As far as I'm concerned, there's never been any murder in UFC. But what I'm saying is, I know Rashad wants Shogun, or he wants to avenge his loss against Machida. That's what he wants.
That doesn't matter, though.
Glover definitely is in the top 5 of the light heavyweights, even though he has yet to really defeat a beast of an opponent. He did beat Rampage. That was probably his best opponent he's defeated. But, he's now a wrestler in TNA. Before we close this out, we can't end it without previewing the next event. Guys, unfortunately, we don't have another UFC event for 3 weeks. It kind of works out in my favor because I'm going to be, it's shitty. It's kind of working out in my favor because I'm going to be preparing this move across the country. But, Silva Weidman, that's going to be in 3 weeks, July 6th in Las Vegas. We won't talk about everything, but let's talk about the co-main and main event of that before we close this bitch out. We're about an hour 15 in, actually exactly an hour 15 into the show, and we'll close it out after breaking down these two fights. UFC 162, a lot of scrambling. There was going to be a bout between Ricardo Lamas and Chan Sung Jung. Chan Sung Jung has been pulled from that fight to face Jose Aldo at UFC 163 on August 3rd. Ricardo Lamas still does not have an opponent. He might be on the main card of UFC 162. We don't know yet because all this just happened 2 days ago. But the co-main event, Frankie Edgar versus Charles Oliveira. A lot of people thought he did not deserve the co-main billing above Lamas versus Chan Sung Jung, who, most thought were the number 1 and 2 contenders at featherweight. But Edgar Oliveira, does everybody have Edgar? Does Oliveira stand a chance? Does this fight deserve the co-main event billing? Is Frankie going to work his way back up and, if Aldo leaves, regain the championship belt? Ramses?
Look, Edgar Oliveira, these guys are they're statistical losers. I don't give a damn about this fight. Frankie, I'm sorry. You lost too many in a row. I will just use my brief time to just ask this question. Why couldn't Rashad put away a man that was 10 years older than him? What the fuck, man? What does that say about Rashad? Dan Henderson could barely extend his arms anymore. The arthritis. Look at his stance. Oh my God, it's riddled with arthritis. I would fucking know, people. He's got it. It's ridiculous. Rashad must have it too. They're all rusty. It was ridiculous. It was preposterous. It was ludicrous. Anybody that paid for this fight was, unless you listen to the Word on the Street podcast,
bamboozled.
You were hoodwinked and bamboozled. That's right. And that's all I have to say. I'll pass it on. I don't know what Yao.
So getting back to the question about Frankie Edgar and Charles Oliveira. Yes, they do deserve. Well, Frankie does deserve the co-main event spot. I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer, so I don't understand why people are saying he doesn't deserve the co-main event spot.
Yeah, Frankie's last 7 fights have been championship fights before this.
Thank you. So he's going to beat Charles. I want him to beat Charles Oliveira impressively so he can get another title shot. I know he wants that championship belt. And what was the other question?
And what do you think about Frankie's chances about getting the belt back?
Oh, yeah, he'll definitely get the belt back. No doubt.
No doubt. Ross, I know you're up in the same area. You and Yao are both from that New York area like Frankie Edgar. What do you think about Edgar Oliveira? You think Frankie's going to get that 145 belt back, especially if Aldo moves up and there's a vacancy?
He could. I mean, Frankie's going to... This is a partial work in the sense that it's just a fixed fight because they're bringing in a bum for Frankie to fight. I mean, it's a fight for Frankie to knock a guy out, move back up the ladder, then fight maybe a number 1 contenders fight. I think it would be smart if they took Oliveira out and put in Lamas. Then again, they got to protect Frankie. Frankie, could win the belt when Aldo moves up. But I think he should be fighting at 135. He's still fighting in a weight class above his natural weight.
Yeah, and a 3-week buffer, that wouldn't be too crazy. Frankie and Ricardo would both be on equal footing as far as not, preparing for that kind of guy. I actually really like that thought of switching Oliveira out for Lamas. Brooks, what are your thoughts on Edgar versus Charlos, as I like to call him, Oliveira?
I think it's a stupid fucking matchup. It doesn't make any sense. I would have liked to see Frankie fight a guy a little more higher ranked. Oliveira's coming off of a first round knockout loss to Cub Swanson. Edgar just went a full 5 rounds with the champion. Frankie, I mean, shit, who knows what would have happened if they would have scored the first fight with Benson Henderson the correct way. He could have still been champ up at 155, and I just think this fight's ridiculous. We should have probably been seeing Frankie versus Mendez right now. It's a good idea for the Lamas fight. That would make perfect sense. But instead, we're getting Charles Oliveira versus Frankie Edgar as a co-main event when everybody knows, it's not gonna. We know what way it's gonna go. But yeah, I think once Aldo goes up to 155, or even if Frankie could get a rematch, I think he has the potential to be able to beat Aldo. So yeah, I see him getting the title back here in the near future.
Mogul Edgar Oliveira, what do you think about Edgar's chances of getting that belt back?
Listen, Frankie Edgar is one of the pound-for-pound best fighters. Anyone that doesn't agree with that, you can't take anything they say seriously. The dude fought 3 weight classes above what he should be, and he was champion. He don't give a fuck. All right? He's a fucking animal. He's the definition of a warrior. Okay? And like, he beat Benson Henderson too. He got robbed there. The dude knocked out Gray Maynard, beat BJ Penn twice. You know what I'm saying? And the Jose fight could have went either way, in my opinion. Like, I watched it again. The first time I scored it for Frankie. Second time I gave it for Jose. But he's going to run right through Oliveira. It's not even going to be entertaining fight. But Frankie's a beast. He could definitely win the belt in any division.
For sure, yeah, and I did have him beating Benson in that rematch, but I did have him losing to Benson and Jose in the first fight. In UFC 162, that's going to be headlined by Anderson Silva versus Chris Weidman. A lot of people have been talking about it. It was my second. I was looking most forward to Aldo Pettis and then Weidman Silva. So I guess this has moved up to 1 now that Aldo Pettis isn't going to happen. I hope we see that one day because that'd be a hell of a strikers duel. But Silva versus Weidman, a lot of people think of Weidman like Chael Sonnen, but with the ability to just blast people once he takes them down. Weidman, we saw that against Mark Munoz, and Weidman, extremely impressive. Most, even though he hasn't really beaten a top 10 guy currently in the middleweights, most people do think he is the top challenger. And surprisingly, a lot of people are picking him over Silva, which, look, I do think he and Sonnen are the biggest challengers Silva's ever gotten, but I just don't see Silva losing. He's the greatest we've ever seen, and until further notice, I'm not going to pick against him. Ramses?
Yeah, this fucking fight, guys. Look, honestly, Chris Weidman, didn't he just lose his home? Didn't he just have a kid? He's newly married. That spells disaster for a fighter. I know. We all love the guy. I love him too. I wish he would beat the hell out of this Brazilian man known as Anderson the Spider Silva. I wish we lived in that kind of world where, it was an honest to God, like, fair sport here, but it's not. All right. They probably offered him some amount of money. They got something on him. They promised him this and that and the other thing. The fix is going to be in. The Spider will defend his title. Just look for it, people. Look for all the signs. It's probably going to be a fucking head kick or a ridiculous ass submission. I don't know, but Weidman, you do what you got to do. You pay the bills. You keep the electricity on. You live to fight another day. Whoop ass when you can. That's the best you can hope for. That's the word on the street. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to make points here, okay? Wrestling will not be a factor in this fight. Chris Weidman, he holds his hands way too far apart from his face. Those are just straight punches and kicks right into his face, the way he holds his hands. Like I said before, wrestling will not be a factor. Anderson Silva is going to finish Chris Weidman. I don't know what it's going to be, if it's going to be a submission, a knockout. I don't know if he's going to bust out the front kick again. It depends. I don't know if it's knees from the clinch, but he is going to run through Chris Weidman. And these are just facts. And I'm a guy. I'm done.
Yeah, fucking dropping truth. Damn. Who would have thought that he would have picked the black guy? Ross?
Yeah, who would have thought? Anyway, listen. In 3 weeks, they're going to fight, and we will live with what happens. But at the end of the day, you need to bet the house on Weidman because you can get him at a great price right now. The fact of the matter is the UFC hasn't offered him anything. They're not offering a way out. They're not asking for a work. This is straight up going to be a complete shoot. Chris is going to destroy Anderson. Every pro is picking Chris because every pro knows what's up. Anderson isn't getting out of this fight. Chris is not distracted. Actually, Chris is completely motivated. Chris is training every single day. He's in the gym. He's working really hard. He's looking great with his boxing, his wrestling, his jiu-jitsu. He is on point. Yeah, he's going to win this fight.
Yeah, I think Weidman definitely has the best chance out of anybody in the division right now to be able to take this fight. I mean, I'm not sure how wrestling couldn't play a part in this fight. I mean, if it ends quickly, then so be it. But we've all seen Anderson Silva have a weakness, and that's his takedown defense. He's been taken down by Chael and Dan Henderson in the past, the good wrestlers that he's fought. And Weidman's also a good wrestler, so I think he's got a good chance to get this fight to the ground if he really wants to. And we've seen Weidman. He's a smart fighter. He's probably going to come in with a pretty good game plan. I'm not going to bet against Anderson Silva though. He's like Jake said. He's the best there's ever been, and he always finds a way to win no matter what. He took a 5-round beating from Chael Sonnen and came back and won that. So, I can't ever bet against Anderson Silva. He'll end up finishing him somehow, whether it's a triangle off his back or just knocking him out cold on the feet. I'm still taking Anderson, although, I do think Weidman has the best shot out of anybody in the middleweight division. After him, I don't think there's really anybody worthy of challenging him. And, even Vitor, we've already seen Vitor get knocked the fuck out, so I'm not even interested in that anymore. But that's it.
Would I bet the house on Anderson? No. But am I going to bet against him? Hell no. He's 16-0 in the UFC. He's the greatest we've ever seen. Let's pass it off to Mogul, and then unless any of you guys have any further points on Weidman versus Silva, we'll all shout out our plugs again and then sign this shit out.
All right, yeah, listen. I got like a sixth sense when it comes to fights, bro. I could just pick that shit. Weidman has the eye of the tiger right now. He's undefeated. Anyone who says wrestling is not going to play a factor, you should just kick him off the call. That's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever heard. Weidman's a better wrestler, not even just a better wrestler, a better grappler than Chael Sonnen. He out-grappled Damian Maia on a fucking couple days' notice after he cut 30 pounds, okay? So, Anderson Silva is the greatest of all time, hands down, no question. But he's getting older. I mean, he hasn't noticeably looked slower, but he's definitely getting older. Weidman is hungry right now. He's fucking starving. And he's the best in that division, no question. So if Weidman can get him down right away, like Chael did the first fight, then Weidman's going to win a decision. But if Anderson Silva drops his hands at any point in the fight, it's over.
For sure. Yeah, and Weidman versus Silva, like I mentioned, that will be July 6th in Las Vegas. Buy it on pay-per-view, UFC 162. I guess we'll close this shit out. First and foremost, props to myself. I actually, all while the mogul was talking, I ripped the bong, and then I got hiccups, and then I drank like a liter of water, and I got rid of the hiccups. I went through a whole cycle there, and I'm very proud of myself. You can follow me on Twitter, the MMA Podcast. Thank you very much. We will be doing a show next Wednesday, and we will be on the Word on the Street podcast next Tuesday and Thursday. Tell us about that, Ramses. Where can we follow you, and where can we find the Word on the Street?
I don't really like to do this, but I'll give you guys a freebie here. Look, here's a get out of jail for all you people listening, tuning in, participating. If you're ever pulled over by the cops, what you want to do? Well, first you got to follow the Ant Jimmy Show on Twitter, and then when the cop comes up to you and he's like, "License and registration, please," you just be like, "Listen, cop, I follow the Ant Jimmy Show on Twitter," and he'll be like, "I'm sorry." you'll just trust me, people. That's what you want to do. That's the word on the street. That's all I got to say. Take it away.
Yao the Truth. Where can we find your ass on Twitter and Instagram?
Look, guys, don't follow me. Follow the MMA podcast. Jake is doing an amazing job with his podcast and roundtable. He's having like amazing interviews with top fighters, top, promotion, different guys like involved in the MMA world. Follow him, listen to his podcast. That's all you need to know.
I appreciate it, buddy. You can follow Yao also. Twitter and Instagram, YAO_the truth. He is the truth. He's going to be fighting in Grappler's Quest this July. If you haven't been listening to the MMA podcast, you're missing out. We've been doing Yao's training log. He's been talking about his training leading up. He's going to whoop some fucking ass coming up at Grappler's Quest. I can't wait to hear what happens. Ross, where can we follow you? Ross Finkelstein, E before the L.
Ross Finkelstein, E before the L, on Twitter at Ross Finkelstein. I'm posting all kinds of MMA posters, all kinds of shit, talking about MMA. Follow all these guys. These guys are awesome. Tune in Tuesday, Word on the Street podcast. I'm taking souls.
Yo, you go to Chael Sonnen's official Twitter, SonnenCH, and you look at the background. Is that a Ross Finkelstein production?
Indeed it is.
That's a Ross Finkelstein production, ladies and gentlemen. He's in cahoots with Chael Sonnen. Brooks, tell us about the MMA addiction. Where can we find you?
Yeah, go ahead and follow me on Twitter at the MM Addiction 1A. Don't fuck it up. Also, you can find me on Facebook at the MMA Addiction. Same thing. Just all the fucking news and latest shit. So, give me a like, give me a follow, and follow these other motherfuckers too.
Give them a like, give them a follow. That makes it pretty simple. It's the MM Addiction. There's one A, the MMA Addiction. But yeah, follow them on Facebook and Twitter. Pretty simple. THEMMADDICTION. Last but not least, we got the mogul. Where can we follow your ass, son?
You can follow me at King Ying 90. You can follow my podcast at The MMA Moguls.
Fuck yeah, once again, thanks for listening to the post-fight podcast, UFC 161. It was a snoozer of an event, but you know what, it warms us up. I'm sure UFC 162 is going to be a lot more exciting. We're going to have a shitload more to talk about. 9 out of 11 fights were decisions, what the fuck. But there still was a lot of shuffling as far as the divisions go. Evans beating Henderson in a fight between two top 10 fighters at light heavyweight of all time. Thanks for tuning in. Everybody on the call, stay tuned. We'll chat afterwards. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. All the positive support and all that shit. We appreciate it. Fart noises. We'll see you this Wednesday on the MMA podcast. Later.